We are Avana3D, and what we're basically answering is why are 3D printers not in every home? Why hasn't the kind of home consumer really adopted 3D printers yet? There's two reasons that we feel they're too complicated. Right now, 3D printers require a lot of setup, a lot of configuration, and 3D modeling software, which, I don't even know how to use 3D modeling software that well. And we're building a 3D printing startup. And they don't always print very useful products. So a lot of the products today with FDM printers, the low-cost plastic printers, is that they print knickknacks and toys. They're single material or single color. So what are the current solutions in the kind of home market? You got the MakerBot, which is a single material. You got the DaVinci series, which is single material as well, and Ultimaker. Also, expensive and low quality printing. So what if there was a better way? At Avana, we are making it a lot easier to use as a 3D printer from your app. You can simply tap print now. Tap print and it goes directly to a printer, and the printer at home prints the product that you want to print immediately and fast, and it's quiet with multiple materials, some more complicated type products. And we are building a whole ecosystem for the products that the customer will want to print that actually has some use within their home, and also going after partnerships with brands in order to fill that catalog with brands that customers are very used to. So the opportunity is huge if you can tap into the home market with 3D printing, especially if you can start going after markets that you used to be able to go to the store for. For instance, we're focusing on toys and smart toys specifically because Toys R Us, huge chain in the US, obviously went bankrupt, and Hasbro lost quite a bit of distribution, and their own stock was hurt by that retailer going out of business. And of course, now they have to compete or partner with Amazon. So our team is Min and myself, our CTO and co-founder Caleb Young, here in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We have a chemical engineer, Janice, as well as one of the top PhD researchers. If you research anything with conductive, non-conductive materials being 3D printed, Ehab Sala and United Kingdom will come up. So basically, here's some of the items that we plan on printing: very complicated consumer toys with high finish quality, multi-materials, so you can print all in one print, softer versus harder plastics. And of course, with 3D printing, the big benefit for consumers, and I think what differentiates this from just buying something on Amazon, is that you can now make personalized products. So you can picture using our app to take a picture of your face and making the product fit exactly to your kind of head. Everyone's a little bit different, and the reason why I chose goggles is because my dad basically has been swimming for 20 years and still hasn't found swim goggles that fit perfectly. So thanks for your time. That's at a high level. A lot more information if you want to know more. Thanks.
Good. So who is volunteering to give first advice?
Paul, you go. I know Dan already, right, so I'm going to let you go first.
All right. Well, Dan, thanks for the presentation. Yeah, very interesting. Additive manufacturing is an area that we are investing heavily in at ANSYS. So we have a whole business unit dedicated to it. Our focus has been more on metal sort of finished products and dealing with that. You know, this is something where a lot of our resellers that sell our software actually sell 3D printers alongside. So we are that difficult CAD, CAE software that needs to be learned before you can print. So, I mean, I've got a bunch of questions here. I could probably talk a long time here on this, but basically, I like your pace. I like the graphic design that you have. You've got a brand, right? You're setting up a brand. I like that. You're even setting up a unique proprietary file system, which we probably need to talk about. That's going to box you in. That's going to be a problem, all right, later on. But let's leave it at that. I think going through the slide deck, I like the introduction. I like the problem statement, but then I got a little bit lost with actually what the product is. It's like, okay, I know that you tap to print, but then, you know, you've got a competitive, you show the competitors, then we've got tap to print, and then we've got a sort of generic picture of, you know, of a printer that can address all of these concerns. But it's like, well, how are you addressing it? What is this printer? Why is it get sent away and printed off-site and delivered, or is it actually in the home? I think it's in the home, but it wasn't 100% clear to me, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so I think you need to sort of show how you know, I think you've got the elements there, but I think there's some gaps, right, in that storytelling. I really like the personal story. You know that I like those personal stories, tying it in, your dad, you know, swimming for 20 years. You know, I can even remember the story, how well you did it. So that's very good. It resonates with people. They're like, oh yeah, you know, people wearing glasses, dental, you know, implants, not implants, but dental sort of retainers and things like that. All of that stuff is, you know, that's all part of this market. And I like the way you positioned the nickname. Basically at the moment, 3D printers for home are just printing junk, you know, just stuff that you throw away eventually. Whereas, you know, we're trying to move it up to something more valuable. So I like that positioning very much. So I think that covers the main things as to what, you know, you've got a good idea of the market size, the market opportunity. I think I may have missed it because I was distracted writing down, but I think there was what might have been missing is sort of, okay, what's your go-to-market plan here? Where are you going? You know, what's your next step? Are you going to go big global, or is it going to be just the US? Is it going to be Boston area? What's the next step? And then I think, again, as we've said for all the other presenters, we want to know, and again, you had limited time to be like, yeah, I could have told you this, you know, here it is flying through, right? You're going to tell us now, you know, what do you need from us? What are you looking for? What's your next step?
Investor contacts at this point.
Yeah.
So the right contacts, the right investors for this type of approach. A lot of hardware accelerators, hardware technology investors are staying away from the consumer electronics space that we found. So we're looking for the investors that know the consumer electronics space, know how to launch a successful product and to go big. We want to obviously have high volume to keep the costs as low as possible, and also the investors that understand a subscription model for consumers. We're looking at, you know, understanding or researching basically, do you sell this to the higher income market as just a standalone printer and provide the app and materials along with it, like Formlabs or something, or do you sell it as a subscription for $100 a month or $50 a month, include the printer, include all the ink, and get the customers kind of hooked, if you will?
Yeah, I think subscription services are becoming more palatable in a B2C market. I mean, it's starting to creep into Amazon, right? When you want to reorder things all the time, it's like a subscription service. So I think it's becoming more palatable. I like that very much. Yeah, very good. Let me shut up and hand it over to Bruce. Sorry, Bruce.
Hi, Dan. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good seeing you too, Bruce.
Yeah, so Dan has come to my hardware meetup in Boston, so that's how we know each other. Went to visit him last week. So yeah, the pitch is solid. I'd say, you know, you're covering the sort of the value proposition, what's what sort of market you're going after. With the TAM, the SAM, and that's all good to include as to what's behind all this. And I think you need to spend a little bit more on your specific value proposition. Why are you going to succeed? And what's going to differentiate you? And maybe it's just, for instance, the business model, but I think from a technology point of view, if I know you're spending time on the materials end of things, which, you're showing here. So yeah, I think you want to include that in the shorter pitch as opposed to the appendix, just so that
Sure.
people really, if they know the 3D market, then they know, okay, there's been so many 3D printing companies. Why yet another one? And you want to get to that fairly quickly, assuming that the people you're talking to are familiar with the 3D printing market. You want to get to them right away with what's going to differentiate you from all these other companies that have tried and really, some have done well and some of them haven't done too well. I was down at the Maker Faire, as I said before, and at least half of Maker Fairs these days are 3D printers. So there's a lot of activity around it, a lot of hype. You get all of the families and the kids are very excited about 3D printing, and I think that's where hopefully you'll be able to leverage all of that enthusiasm in the marketplace from kids wanting 3D printing in their home and parents wanting to be able to see their kids do that. So I think you're onto something. And I think, as Paul said, just be clear in the early, in the short pitch as to what you're looking for in terms of either investment or just introductions to investors.
Sure.
Yeah, good. Great job.
Thanks.
Okay. I'll just echo what was said here. I think I have the unique advantage of not understanding a lot about hardware, and that brings me into a situation that I can also give you a little bit of a tip from the outside. I would sum my tip as one question: what you got? Okay, so the idea is that it was a little bit blurry, and the theoretical size of why is there a problem and so on, and the even more important side, because I think everyone knows the potential of 3D printing. You don't even have to show market size and so on. Totally not needed, even for people like me who don't know anything about 3D printing. Everyone knows that it's the future. The question is, what did you build or what milestones were achieved? So you always try to integrate those and give it at least 50% of the presentation has to be about things that you've built so far. And as we've seen in the presentation before, it's really difficult to build something without funding and so on, but try to really show what was done so far, what is unique in what you do. Less about the problem in general. People understand there is giant potential. Now, how do you tackle it? But other than that, really, really good presentation. So totally cheering for you, and hopefully we're going to hear good news from you. So, yeah.
I appreciate it. Thanks for all your feedback.